My husband Nate and I, both 50, have been married for 24 years and have twin sons, 22. He got into an awful car accident a couple of months ago, and though he wasn't seriously injured, he was shaken. He now often talks about how life is fleeting and we should make sure to be prepared. Nate has 2 siblings, an older brother and a sister, Tina, 33. Tina is actually Nate's biological daughter. He had her in high school and his parents adopted her from birth. Her mom was never in the picture. The family all knows about this, including Tina herself. Tina and my family were cordial but not close. Nate's parents passed within a year of each other almost a decade ago. They split all they had 3 ways for their 3 kids. 5 years ago, Nate's older brother decided to join a monastery. He left behind all his worldly possessions to Tina and my sons, though my sons mostly got things of sentimental value while Tina got things of more monetary value. I think my in-laws were all within their rights to handle their money as they saw fit. My problem is Nate. Yesterday, Nate told me he had a rough idea of how he would like his possessions taken care of. He would like to split all he has 3 ways, Tina and our 2 sons. We don't have a lot, but Nate has his parents' inheritance and he would like to give that to all his children equally. I asked him how this was fair. His parents adopted Tina and already received her inheritance as their daughter. If his parents gave him and his brother half and half, I would understand why he felt the need to provide Tina with something. As it is, Tina already took from his share of the inheritance. Moreover, his brother also gave her money and valuables worth more than our sons received. Tina is also a dentist. She's in no way in need of financial help. Nate said at the end of the day, Tina is his biological daughter and it's only right that he left her something. I don't think we need to pile more money onto a capable woman with a good job who already has so much while our sons are still young and just starting their careers. Am I the idiot? I think my in-laws were all within their right to handle their money as they saw fit. And why do you not think this exact thing about your husband? Regardless of how you think about her and what her relative situation is, she is his daughter. Having a husband who feels responsible for his life decisions is a good thing. I'm sorry, but you are the idiot. I don't think we need to pile more money onto a capable woman with a good job who already has so much, while our sons are still young and just starting their careers. It's noticeable that you keep saying Tina compared to our sons. Try saying his daughter. It amazes me how many think they are more entitled to an inheritance than others in the family. I can't imagine counting the money that is someone else's before they're even dead and buried and being upset that the shares aren't fair. Lady, how greedy are you? I bet you'll be one of those vicious people who try to challenge wills after death to take all you can get because you're already convincing yourself that no one deserves it more than you. You sound very jealous of his daughter. Regardless of her adoption status by blood and DNA, she is still his daughter. Not the idiot. I don't know why people say you are the idiot when you're so clearly not. From what you said, it sounds like what your husband is leaving his sons is largely what was left to him by his parents. Tina already inherited 1/3 of what your husband's parents left, so now, by leaving an equal portion of his stuff to Tina, he's just leaving more inheritance to her. This means Tina is getting an unfairly more considerable inheritance while she's older than your sons and has a well-paying and stable job. If I were you, I'd be angry. LOL. Is it unfair? Nate probably feels extremely guilty for abandoning Tina, and this is his way of attempting to make amends. At the end of the day, he can do what he wants with his money. What his parents left his daughter that they adopted has nothing to do with anything. Nobody is keeping score, except you apparently. What they left was their choice. What your brother-in-law left was his choice. And what your husband leaves of his parents' inheritance is his choice, not yours. And no, there is no universe where it's okay for your husband to disinherit his oldest child just because he was too young to parent her originally. You sound petty, and your argument doesn't hold salt. My wife and I have a daughter, 23, called Katie, who has a young toddler son named Jesse. Katie still lives at home with us, which isn't ideal, but we've had to make do with the situation. My wife has basically become a second mother to Jesse, and we've both been helping Katie out as much as possible, as Katie and the father are no longer together. He still does his part, but since Katie still lives with us, Jesse is with us most of the time. I would rather not have Katie still living with us, but she had nowhere else to go, so we couldn't kick her out with a child. My wife doesn't have as much of a problem with her living at home as I do, but the main thing that annoys me is that Katie spends her money on stupid things that she doesn't need instead of saving up for her own place. We've given her so much, and she basically just throws it back in our faces. Jessie is starting to walk around furniture and getting more adventurous, so Katie bought corner protectors, cabinet locks to put around the house, and baby gates. She came to me and asked if I could help her put them on stuff and put up the gates, but I told her that I didn't want to start putting all that around my house. She said we need them up to keep Jessie from hurting himself, but I reminded her that Jessie has a whole nursery that he can learn to walk in, so he doesn't need to be walking around the kitchen or living room or any other room, and it's her responsibility to make sure he doesn't injure himself. We got into an argument about it, and I told her she should be saving her money to get her own place, where she could do whatever she wanted, instead of buying more things to put in my house. She got pretty upset, but I think she got the message because she hasn't discussed putting them up since. My wife asked me why I wouldn't help her out, and I told her that if we start child-proofing our house, it would give Katie the impression that we're willing to accommodate her and Jessie for as long as she wants, and that she can live with us for God knows how long. I just don't want her thinking that she can live with us forever, because as much as I love her and Jessie, the sooner they move out the better, because it's a lot of extra work for my wife and I. You are the idiot. Is your grandbaby never coming back to your house after she moves out? Be a responsible adult while she does live with you and help protect your grandson instead of being a self-absorbed moron. You are risking the health of a defenseless kid. How you think you're somehow not in the wrong is a mystery. No matter if you feel she should or shouldn't be living there, you're risking that child getting seriously injured. Since you've clearly forgotten how easy it is for toddlers to hurt themselves, I'm going to assume you were as crap a father as you are a grandfather and had very little involvement with your own child when she was that age. Why do you hate your daughter? Why do you want to put your granddaughter at risk? This is a great way to get sued by your daughter if your grandchild gets hurt. I disagree. So your daughter has a child she couldn't afford without bothering to set up a family situation of her own. If the father is doing his part, why doesn't he pay enough child support for your daughter to move out? Your wife is your real problem. She is enabling your daughter's wasteful spending and making more work for you. It's time to sit down and set a time limit for this nonsense to end. You raised your family and now it's their time to adult. New phones and similar crap are not what responsible parents buy when they can't even pay their own living expenses. Why would your daughter move out when she has mummy spoiling her rotten? As for the so-called child-proofing stuff, why is a 1-year-old freely roaming without supervision? Playpens, gates, closed doors, and an attendant adult are called for, as well as moving anything dangerous up out of reach. It's false security to rely on devices like they have some magical properties. The sense of entitlement is strong in your daughter, abetted by your wife. You're outnumbered, but you're not wrong. Not the idiot. Daughter-proof your house. My 20 female aunt, 40s, Kate, is a self-proclaimed cool mum. We're talking about the wet pizza mum, but all the time. It never stops. She's obsessed with looking cool for her daughter's friends, who are older teens, but actually pretty inappropriately. Many of Lucy's friends, my cousin, aren't allowed over anymore after Kate sang them that One Margarita song. Lucy confided in me that word gets around and people's parents don't want their kids to go to hers. Lucy and her younger brother are pretty jaded as a result and are cold to their mother, who cannot take the hint. She came over on Boxing Day and complained about her kids' social lives. She said they rarely see their friends anymore, and it's worrying her that maybe it's their rude attitudes. My mum gave me a rude look that said, "Say nothing," but I said, "Do you think it's maybe the fact that you try to embarrass them at every opportunity? They're cold because you've ruined their reputations by being the crazy cool mum." My mum told me to leave the room, and she and Kate went outside a few minutes later. After 20 minutes, they left, and my mum wasn't happy with me. She told me to text Kate to apologise because she was very upset. Am I the idiot for telling her the truth? Not the idiot. That's not exactly appropriate for a teen. But having a 40-year-old introduce it, sheesh, wow, so unbelievably awkward. I'm second-hand cringing for those kids, and I'm surprised no one told her before. She's upset now, but she needed that. It's so easy also to quietly watch people spiralling down and do nothing about it just to keep the peace. You're a great cousin. Agree. The Margarita song is insanely inappropriate to sing to a group of minors, no matter the context. If my child came home and said an adult sang that song to them, they wouldn't be allowed back either. Were you direct? Yes. Was it the truth? Yes. Boy, someone needs to give her a reality check. Dear Lord, I thought they meant that Hey Margarita song, which is obnoxious as heck but innocuous. This woman needs therapy. Mom knows you're right and enables Kate. Ugh. I'm 36, and if my friend's mom sang that, I'd still be embarrassed. Do not apologise. She doesn't deserve one. On the other hand, the poor kids deserve one from her. I, 45 male, have been married to my wife, 42, for 13 years. I have a stepson, Alex, not real name, nearly adult, who I've raised ever since he was a toddler. We may not be blood related, but he calls me Dad. I raised him as my son. I am his dad, no questions asked. Now, I've never personally met his biological dad. Still, as far as I know, he basically completely abandoned his wife and kid. He gave all custody to my wife for God knows why, leaving my now wife homeless. Like I said, I haven't met him, but even though I don't know him personally, of course I had resentment towards him. How can someone leave his own wife and kid behind? But I know I have bias. Now, Alex's 18th birthday is coming up in a few weeks, and my wife posted something about it on social media. I left a comment on it, and I guess that's how the deadbeat was able to find my account. He messaged me asking to meet his son for his 18th birthday. Though the message was addressed to both my wife and me, I don't really understand why he messaged me specifically. But he said we didn't have to introduce him to Alex as Alex's father. I think Alex knows I'm not his biological father. My wife is completely neutral in this decision and has left it up to me to decide. And honestly, I don't want him to meet Alex. I'm Alex's dad. That deadbeat represents absolutely nothing. But yes, a small part of me is also scared Alex will start to consider that deadbeat his dad. That's why I'm asking. Am I the idiot if I took that experience away from my son? If I didn't let my son meet his biological dad? You are the idiot. This is something you need to let your son decide. You tell him his dad reached out and wants to meet him, and then you let him determine if he wants to or not. Your son will be 18 and his bio dad can reach out to him at that point. Do you want his bio dad telling him that he asked you guys to see him but you kept him from him? That would probably just cause more issues. I know you're nervous, but I don't know how anyone who's had a loving family home and when a bio parent shows up, the child just says screw the person who's raised them. He's still going to be your son and you're still going to be dad to him. I agree with this. I can also speak from personal experience similar to what OP is going through now. It's tough. You have no reason to like or even respect this person and want to protect your kid from being hurt. But in the end, it's not your call. You have to give them the choice, and if they do choose to meet them, prepare them as best you can for it. I really hate when people use a major event, like a milestone birthday, to reconnect. Even if Biodad isn't introduced as dad, other party members will recognize him. Alex will ask why there's a random person there. It'll come out anyway. Biodad is just going to make the party about him. The best advice is to tell that man to meet his son after the birthday party and contact Alex on his own. OP's only move is to prepare Alex for the possibility of contact. I, 49 male, have 4 kids. Twin boys, both 27, one girl 25 and another son 21. This post is about my youngest son Jack. Since they were children, I promised my kids 2 things. 1, I'll fully pay for all of their college expenses, housing, tuition, food, etc. And 2, once they graduate college, I'll buy them a car. I kept that promise for all my kids except with Jack, and now I want to know if I'm an idiot for that. I paid for Jack's college expenses, but I'm refusing to buy him a car. Below are some of the reasons why. I co-signed my name on the lease for Jack's room that he rents with a friend, and I sent Jack his portion of the rent every month. The friend started taking advantage of my name on the lease and stopped paying for rent too, knowing I would cover the amount because I didn't want missed payments on my credit score. I asked Jack multiple times to ask his roommate to pay his portion, but the boy didn't care to even respond to me, and I ended up paying for 6 months of his friend's rent too, until I finally solved the problem by getting my name out of the lease. Jack has a very rude and entitled attitude. He speaks to us like we're his low-performing employees. The only time he contacts us is when he wants money and goes no contact otherwise, and we don't know what we ever did to him to treat us that way. Last year, when my wife had to be hospitalized, all of my kids flew back home to be there for their mother. Jack didn't want to, but one of his siblings bought him a ticket and talked him into flying out. Instead of being glad to be beside his very sick mother at the hospital, he spent the entire visit making everyone run errands for him. His sister had to cook a very specific type of meal for him, we had to drive him to the gym at a very specific time he demands, etc., and acted like it was one massive inconvenience for him to have to fly out. I even talked to my other kids about whether we were terrible parents that caused Jack to act this way, but all my other kids don't know why he ended up so entitled and spoiled. The rest of my kids are incredibly different from Jack. We all get along with each other and care about one another. For the rest of my kids, I spent maybe $100,000 on each kid's total college expenses. With Jack's careless spending habits and unwillingness to save us any money, Jack's college years cost me $180,000, so I refused to buy the promised car. Jack's upset and has gone to his grandparents complaining about me. My mother-in-law already hates me and is now calling me an idiot, saying I'm playing favourites because I bought everyone a car and not Jack. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. If I were being petty, I'd buy a junker used car for him. If he wants to be so technical about holding you to a promise, well, that's his car. Tell him the rest of the budget was eaten up by the $80,000. Time for him to learn the consequences of his actions. This, or tell him you'll give him $5,000 to buy a used car. He needs to collect the 6 months of no rental payments from his roommate, or take him to small claims court if he wants a nicer car. Show him the bottom line of what was spent on each child, then ask why he thinks he deserves more than his siblings. Also, learn how to tell him no. This is something he should have been taught as a toddler. Mother-in-law can buy him a freaking car if she cares that much. You've done more for him than most parents ever dream of. He's rude, spoiled, and entitled, and he doesn't deserve anything more from you. He's already getting so much handed to him and clearly doesn't appreciate it. Don't continue to give to anyone who doesn't appreciate the value and worth of the help. That boy needs a wake-up call before he continues the way he's going and messes up his life.